God damn it.
Good evening. Welcome to the College of Complexes. I'm Jonathan Bartona. Good to see you all tonight. Tonight's speaker is Mike Lehman, and he'll be speaking about Trump's Republican economic and immigration claims fact-checking with data. The College of Complexes has two rules: one fool at a time and no personal attacks. And the format is follows: the speaker will speak, then we'll have a Q&A session. And then after that, we'll have our infamous rebuttal, where approximately between 4.5 to 6.5 minutes, everyone will give their take, their agreements, their disagreements, their thoughts on the topic, and should be good. We've got a good topic.
And don't forget, we do have an announcement period before the speaker speaks. We have to be out of here by 8.
If you've got announcements, make them.
Yeah, so.
We've got 3 more months before this microphone will no longer be legal.
Okay. All right, Charlie, I'm going to let you start with your announcements. Let me get started here. So when you're ready, go ahead.
All right. Welcome to meeting number 3,793 of the College of Complexes, the playground for people who think. Now, although I am not a capitalist, I will give an advertisement for our upcoming programs. Our Thanksgiving Day program will be on November the 22nd. And Catherine Waldbridge has been working on her presentation assiduously, she writes me. And she's going to answer the question of what is food? What is food? Following that, on November the 30th, extensively researched as well, will be a presentation by Ernie Norman on Palestine and Gaza, Israel. He asks, what is over the top, over the top? Following that, we begin our December programs. A young man is a political essayist. First time, Eric Mao will be talking about the American era and the destiny of America. What is the destiny of America? I ask you. On December the 14th, we just booked this, Lowell Thompson. We'll be going over an interesting book he wrote. It's an interactive social murder media mystery called Who Killed America? Who Killed America? On December the 21st, yours truly, Charles Paydock. I'm out to save the planet, and in order to do so, we have to stop celebrating Christmas. Put an end to Christmas. If the choice is yours, which do you want to do? We have some other tentatively programs scheduled, but that leaves December 28th open, as well as 4 dates in January. So if you'd like to get on the schedule, please send me a title and a written description. This is a requirement in order to get on. Okay, thank you so very much. In terms of community announcements, I'll put this in chat right now. Tomorrow at 1 o'clock will be the general membership meeting of the IWW, the Industrial Workers of the World, the Wobblies. Now, this is a meeting open only to members. However, if you contact me, I'll see if I can get you in as my guest. IWW, that's at 1 o'clock online. Okay, anybody else got an announcement?
Anybody else got an announcement that go to the community? Go ahead, come on up front. On up front. This is for the good of the community now.
It's for events.
This is for the good of the community. I just wanted to declare that this man is your president by popular vote and the Electoral College, and he's going to be the best president ever in the entire universe. Thank you very much.
All right. All right, let's enter. Go ahead.
In about 3 weeks, December 4th is the 40th anniversary of the Bhopal disaster in India, Bhopal, India. 40 years, 3,000 people were killed, 20,000 eventually. So in that vein of thought, you can entertain yourself by calling up your Dow chemical producer and tell them to go to hell. Thank you.
All right,
Union Carbide, but Dow bought it.
okay. Let's introduce Mike Lehman to speak about our Trump and what's going on. Let's hear it for Mike. Okay, Mike, use the mic. Yeah, I'm gonna put the PowerPoint up, don't worry. Just use the mic and we'll get ready.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes, just,
Okay. I think Trump was doing something illegal with the microphone at one time. All right, let's start out with the slides. There's about 20 slides, and we're gonna determine if Trump's been telling the truth. Of course, he's got a website called Truth Social, so I'm sure everything he says is true.
Of course it is.
It's the truth. Okay, so we're gonna look at first the immigration story from Trump and from the data in the I tried to. I'm a somewhat trained economist. I have a degree in economics, and but I'm not going to be perfect here. And hopefully, some of this data is pretty close to true. And so I don't like lies. I don't like misrepresentation, things like that. I think presidents and our government officials should be telling the truth. And then we'll go into financial information, and then we'll a little bit on Joe Biden. Okay, go ahead. I don't know if you guys remember. I'll give you a little backstory on economics.
go ahead, Mike, just pull it out. Pull it out and speak.
So for years, we would have this chart, copies of this chart in the back. And it's pretty good. It's pretty good, this chart.
Go ahead.
This is from 23. And this is where your taxes go, except for Medicaid and Medicare are paid as like an investment, and then you get paid back once you hit 62 or 65 or 70. But this is where most of our money goes. 4.5 trillion last year, 23. Where? Yeah. So, Mike, real close? Okay. All right. Okay, so human resources are, about 2.5 trillion. Management of the, the deep state, the government is around 300 billion. Military has lots of ongoing costs and current costs. So it's about 40% of the $4.5 trillion budget. And then other things like transportation, infrastructure, so on. But this is a nice little chart. We used to have it here at the College of Complexes, extra copies. We don't get that. I don't know who gave it. Maybe Charlie printed those out. Anyway, so that's kind of where your taxes go, your federal taxes. Go ahead, next one. And this is a little background on immigration. I tried to have as much really accurate information. I think I can trust the U.S. Census Bureau. I think it's pretty trustworthy. I'm hoping. So anyway, this is a history, which is kind of informative if you look at it. I'm going to leave this up here for a minute or two. Percentage of U.S. population that is foreign born. Going back to 1850, before the Civil War. So, like 10% here in 1850 were 9.7 were foreign born, 10%. In 1890, when my relatives came over, Bohemia, Italy, Germany, 15% were foreign born. It hit a low point in 1970. I guess it wasn't cool to come to America. Only 4%, 5% were foreign born. About 5% of the population. Yeah. And then now, 23, about half are from Latin America, and they're not really even at the high peak here of 1890. So about maybe 15% of the population is foreign born. Okay, next one. Here's a little backstory here on how much we've spent, how big the military has been in years past. I think this is pretty accurate. Or the oil wars of Bush, we spent a lot of money. Reagan's Pentagon expansion, 1980, the Vietnam War, the Korea War. It's enough on, around 700 billion, 800 billion on military. Go ahead, next one. So that's kind of your background on the macro. If you want to call it economics 102, I think they call it 102 macro. But sometimes I see 101 as macro, and then sometimes I see macro as 102, economics 102, or 101. But it's kind of the big picture, macroeconomics. Micro, FYI, is like this running of this business, dappers. That would be considered microeconomics. Okay, so illegal. Now this is the chart. This is the chart that I believe Trump uses. You'll see it in a minute. And I think it's the one he corrupted. Excuse me, the one he changed. So the deep Trump state. I'm gonna guess that guy Miller. He seems like the sneaky one. The one that's very hateful and racist. That nobody knows what he's about. But Miller's your bad guy. Okay, I think this is pretty accurate. I see. I don't think racism's good. Okay, so here is your encounters. They call this illegal immigration, but they also call it encounters. So we're going to find out what that really means. During Bush, we had lots of encounters. During Obama, we had less. So here's 150 million. Here is 50 million during Obama. Trump had a big spike. Actually, Trump had two big spikes. He had this one, and then he had this one as he was leaving office. And then Biden's was higher right up here. Encounters. But we got to look at these words. We got to understand what encounters, illegal is, legal. There's jail, expulsions. There's a whole different, not a lot, but there's different terminologies here for, what happened when you meet an immigrant at the border, at the airport. A lot of people come in here illegally from airports. Or legally, or they're somewhere in between. Okay, go ahead. The next chart. Now, people arrested. Being an immigrant or an illegal immigrant is kind of dangerous work. I mean, you really want to come here. If I'm a criminal or terrorist or in a pediatric ward or in jail, I'm going to stay in one of those countries down south. I don't think I'm going to walk by foot 2,000 miles to get to the Mexican border.
They fly now.
Yeah, a lot of them fly. But as you saw, remember that chart, it was half of the foreign born is from Latin America. So they probably walked.
Oh, they didn't.
Yeah, Latino. which we have a lot of hardworking Latinos. They're very hardworking people. Okay, so under Trump, okay, so Trump gets in office here, and he has these spikes on immigration. And this is the best estimate, I guess. Correct me if you see me making a mistake or an issue with the charts. This is, Tim,
They can
can't
see,
get that. You can't get the reference. Okay, so this is the encounters, I guess, or the arrests. No, I guess this part is the arrests, and this is the estimate of who was coming. So actually, during Biden, they did a lot of arresting, apparently, according 21, 22, 23. Remember, Biden took over. This is really. I think Biden took over right around. This is beginning of 21. So Biden took over around here. Anyway, so it was trending up. Go ahead, next one. Unauthorized immigrant totals were going up and up and up, even under Bush. Kind of went down under Obama. Was called the
reporter in chief.
He called him. Huh? Does that sound right? And anyway, so it started going down, and I think when Trump got in, it spiked up again, I guess. I don't know if he's immigrant total right. Okay, this is under, I think this is a reliable source. I've heard of them a lot, Pew. And the U.S. Census Bureau. I mean, there could be lies on the internet. There usually are plenty. Okay, go ahead, Tim. Okay, this one is called monthly apprehensions, customs and border protect.
Yeah, customs and border
So
protection.
this is a similar type chart that Trump uses. Bush had higher, Clinton had high immigrations, apprehensions. They're actually doing their job down there somewhere, the border. Looks like they're, so they call it apprehensions. Remember, he said there's a lot of words: apprehensions, encounters, arrests, in jail, all that stuff. You got to kind of like understand the
Semantics.
Thank you. Anyway, so under Obama, then Trump had his big spike, which I think that was when he was saying there were hordes, or there are just people lining up coming here, maybe, And then it went down here as Trump was. What happened right here? No, we don't have the year here. Anyway, we know that this is right when Biden took over. So that was, when did Biden take over? Say February of 21. Can I get a February?
January of 2021.
No, let's say February, because
No, it's January 20th.
okay, I'm gonna go with February. Yeah. I'm running the show here. Okay, so February 21. So it started taking up again. Get organized, blah, blah, blah. But still apprehensions, which means to me that they're going to either arrest them or send them back, right? Jail or send them back.
Or just let them go.
I don't know. If you arrest somebody for illegal immigration, into America?
They give them a date a couple of years out and they never show up.
Okay, save that for your presentation. Okay, go ahead. The next. This is it's kind of relevant. Refugee admissions. Now, I don't know what the difference between a refugee or an immigrant is. Like, a refugee sounds like somebody needing asylum,
Yes.
right?
Or a scam.
or a scam. This is America. There's plenty of scams. There's plenty of criminals of all colors. So, okay, so this one's somewhat weird, she was. So shame on her. I remember Ronald Reagan had a lot of these.
Yes.
And I go, you know, Ron, that's a good idea because people trust graphics. They
Yeah.
trust anything on television, anything on the internet. They had that during Ronald Reagan. So I want you guys to look at this. I want you to tell me what is wrong with this.
We don't know what, could you read out the ledger so I know what
Okay.
mustard and blue and red mean?
Okay, so this actually came out pretty good, Tim.
Use the mic.
Tim, can you block out the talking heads, please?
If they are, I'm just using to keep you on camera.
Okay. All right. So the yellow apparently now I only see this in whoever made up this chart, which I'm guessing is Stephen Miller or somebody, some creepy guy. Anyway, so this is all stuff that's added. This graphic,
I'm sorry about that.
that's fine. Trump leaves office. I'll give you one clue.
I was trying to get the bottom in, but I don't think I'll get it.
Go to the last time. Go to the last time.
What, the last slide?
Yeah. Well, no, the last image you had. Just had it up. So this,
Right,
we'll leave
right.
it there. So this is when Trump got shot in the ear. And he, he's like, here, and then he turned this way. Section 2012 figures combine single adults and family. Okay, so 2012, 2024, somewhat current. The yellow apparently is single adults, blue is families, and red is minors. I
Point
didn't
of
see
order.
any of that.
Tim, could you show
What?
the slides as the full screen?
Aren't they up there at full
No,
screen?
you got the pictures on the side. I don't know why.
That's your Zoom, Charlie.
Yeah,
That's
I'll
your
put it,
Zoom,
I'll put
Charlie.
it full screen.
Yeah, but why do we don't need those side views?
Charlie, I got a full screen here at the thing. Figure it out through your Zoom presentation. That's what's going on. You got it on Zoom. Just go full screen on your Zoom. Go ahead,
All right.
Mike.
All right, so I'm guessing all this, okay, this is called illegal immigration into the US. If you read that, if you're one of the millions and millions of people that see this chart, on the fake news, on the real news, on the Trump presentations, which is illegal. So you're like Russ. They were apprehended at the border and said, "Go on, go to Chicago, go to New York. You're here, you're in." Dan, where are you going?
I can't.
It's they're dropping like flies. So anyway, I'm thinking with Trump's chart, nobody knows what that means or this. That might be true. That might be true.
Did he pay for his bill?
Can everybody read this? Biden world record illegal immigrants from many prisons, mental institutions, and terrorists. I guarantee you nobody picks up data on that. How many terrorist attacks have we had in America the last 4 years? Russ, you know about that. We had a
Yeah,
lot of,
but we brought terror, people from Syria, Lebanon, all sneaking in.
right, they're
And you know
terrorists.
they don't have good intentions in heart.
Right, you can't trust anybody in America. Okay, so Biden world record. Nothing like this has ever happened before. Well, that's kind of like that. It's only about like 50,000 per month encounters difference. Anyway, so here's the big point, which Trump has this arrow when he leaves office. This is 2020. When did you say Biden took over?
January
February of 21.
2020,
No,
2021, I'm
21.
sorry.
That's right about here, folks. Okay, guys. Why would Trump lie about a year of data? To get elected? Okay, so it's on a definite incline as Trump's leaving office. And oh, by the way, does anybody remember COVID?
Yes,
There was a major shutdown, right? I'm not sure. It's all foggy.
yeah,
Like nobody was moving or doing anything.
that's correct.
Do you think that had any case, anything to do with all this drop in immigration, any kind of thing at the border?
Yep,
Right about there. So Trump's taking credit for this COVID shutdown. And then went properly. So why is he lying about a year here? To make this look better?
yep.
Hold on just a second. Check that out, everybody. See if I'm lying. If I'm lying.
Could he be a little more consistent in speaking into the microphone?
Yes. Okay, I'm done with that chart. That's pretty much all I have. Go ahead and see if there's anything else. I think there's another chart here. A couple.
You got a few more,
Go do the next one and see what that looks like.
right?
Number of criminal related.
Number of criminal related grounds for deportation listed on notices to appear by fiscal year.
I don't know this company or this organization. It's on the internet.
It was admitted and
Or this-
non-admitted immigrants. The red's admitted immigrants, the blue is not admitted immigrants. Their criminal related grounds for deportation listed on notices to appear by fiscal year.
And it was going down ever since you know, Obama, and then into Trump, and then into Biden. Why do I have to bring this up?
Give me a
Okay,
minute.
now we're done with immigration. Well, we could save your questions about immigration. Let's move on to the economy,
Hang
economics.
on, Mike, I gotta get the. Okay,
How's everybody doing so far?
I gotta let somebody in real quick. God damn it. Just gonna take me a minute, Mike, to let, God damn.
It's all right. Take your time.
Let,
What time do we have to finish by?
Uh,
Out of here at 7:45.
you got it, it's 5:25. Mike, you still got a good 30 minutes yet, so just give me a minute, please.
This will be macroeconomic stuff. I'm going back to my college days. It was good to review it and understand it a bit.
Just give me a minute here, please.
Go ahead.
Okay. All right, we're letting somebody else in. Hang on, Mike. Are you still, Charlie, you're still seeing the PowerPoint, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Oh, good. We wouldn't.
Okay, Mike, back to your charts now.
Okay, we're done with that one.
Next,
Next is inflation and macroeconomics.
all right, let's,
If anybody has a quick question, okay, so
this is the net 10-year debt.
this is 10 years of debt that these two presidents have approved. So that's, printing money, stealing money from the taxpayers. Anyway, so Trump's at 8.5 trillion in debt, above and beyond what our taxes pay for. He has to go and print money or bonds or whatever. 8.5 trillion over 4 years. Biden, about half that. A lot of it went to COVID, but this went to the super rich generally. And cares of non-COVID, non-COVID, a lot of that went to the super rich. A lot of that, 2.2 trillion went to infrastructure and, taxpayers and college loans. This went to COVID and that went to COVID. Okay, next. All right. This one is about, I don't have any references here, but okay, this is just a debt. I think Obama was, I've seen reports that Obama printed $10 trillion. But anyway, our total debt in America was 10 trillion. It went all the way up. Maybe that is the 10 trillion. 20 trillion. Trump says he'll get rid of it. So Trump gives in and goes up more. 2020. COVID kind of messed up the economics too, of course, between the election. But this is somewhat relevant. I don't know if it's accurate. It seems like it's accurate. Sometimes you can get enough different. I've looked at a lot of slides. And if it seems like some are agreeing, then it must be somewhat true. Economists always round it off. You want to go to the next slide? How do you want? Oh, okay. U.S. debt has risen regardless of administration. Pretty much the same thing. I'm not quite sure what this is. Archives seems like it's National Archives seems relevant. British Broadcasting Corporation seems like they should be telling the truth. Again, similar situations. Going back to 1980, Reagan printed a lot of debt. Clinton was pretty good, not too bad. This is Bush in the oil wars, and then this is Obama, giving the rich a lot of debt, printing money for the rich. Next. Well, it's a nice looking steak. Okay, inflation. Why didn't Harris have this slide? Like, is it that hard? Why? I would have rather seen this slide than Beyonce or Oprah. Anyway, U.S. inflation. Everybody's bitching about inflation. Okay, COVID's kind of crazy. COVID happened.
That's all right. Go ahead.
Nobody talks about Trump losing 15 million jobs during COVID, but they sure talk about these 2 years of bad inflation. So you expect when the economy slows down and then there's the supply chain and economic. We got a scammer.
We're going to get him out. Don't worry.
I'm out. We got a scammer. Good old Zoom.
I thought it was Charlie.
Is that you, Charlie?
No.
Yeah, I can
Make sure
send you
everybody's
some
muted.
paper.
Okay.
You know who it is?
No, I didn't let, that was Michael Kazanjian. Hang on a minute here, we'll get it.
How you guys doing? Any quick questions or comments?
If I feel that inflation's really bad, showing me the chart, the statistics is obnoxious. If I feel, or if it's my experience that I'm paying much for the groceries.
Well, you are.
And then you say, but then you say, oh, look, our economy's really well according to the chart, and then I go.
Okay, we got it taken care of, Mike.
Dump them.
Yes,
Oh, well, you're correct because
use the mic, Mike.
you're correct because this inflation doesn't go away because prices were, like Obama were, 2%. We had really good inflation for a while. 2%, even at Trump at the beginning, 2 to 4%. And then here's COVID, where the economy tanks and gasoline's $2 a gallon. Everybody's jumping for joy. But then the economy shuts down, and then all of a sudden the economy has to the GDP up went like crazy. And so that inflation, now we're stuck with, corrupt companies that keep prices high, or it just overall prices, house prices went up, everything. That doesn't disappear. Although the rate, that 2.9, like the 4 to, it's pretty much started in 22, started going down. So I got to hand it to Biden. He brought it down. That's pretty impressive. So now today, there's really not much inflation. I mean, gasoline's $3. But that doesn't go away because things did go up, and houses always go up. Cars always go up. Okay, so this should be pretty realistic. Labor statistics, British Broadcasting. Go ahead. Look at this. Unemployment since 2010. So Obama, he printed all those trillions of dollars that helped bring unemployment down from 10%, when he took office, down to
About 5.
yeah. And it was pretty much there during Trump. Then there's COVID. 10% of the population. That might be 20 million people lost their job, 30 million. And then COVID lockdowns stop, and then the economy overheats. You all heard about that, right? And then actually, why didn't Harris bring this up? Why?
Billionaires own the media. They don't talk about.
They don't own. The media doesn't own the Bureau of Labor. They don't own BBC. So why isn't Harris talking about how Biden actually did? That's pretty amazing, actually. You go from 15% unemployment down to. Okay, so there's a nice statistic for you guys. Yeah, quick question.
What do you think Obama meant when he said he wants to fundamentally change this country? What do you think?
Let's wait.
Wait for that one. Yeah, I don't know.
Ask the questions.
Just a quick. That was not a quick question. All right, go ahead. Next slide.
Okay.
We only got about 5 or 10 more slides. Okay, here's growth over since Nixon, guys. Nixon, Reagan, Clinton, Bush, Obama. All right, so GDP. Everybody knows what GDP is, right?
Yes,
You've
gross
heard about
domestic
unemployment, GDP, inflation. Everybody knows what that is. Gross domestic versus GOP. No, what's the other one? But anyway, GDP.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's been up and down by a couple percent for a long time. Not mostly up. And then here's COVID. All right, here's COVID. Here's the inflation spike. Why didn't Harris bring this up? Kind of reliable sources here, gang. The Europeans don't mess around. They don't have corrupt media like America does. Okay. All right, so everybody got that? Okay, next one. Here's a little bigger view. So you can see how GDP tanked under Trump. Why didn't Harris bring this up? And then it went way up. Look at that, 30% change in a quarter of GDP. That's pretty amazing. Of course, there's going to be inflation. Anyway, and then it kind of simmered down. America did a nice job. Everybody got jobs, and people were buying stuff again. And then there was a little downturn there, I guess. Again, pretty reliable sources, I think. Bureau of Economics and BBC. Okay, next one. Oh, I think we're changing the subject. Oh, who wants to hear about all the Israeli militant and terrorist organizations giving American politicians money? Look who's number one. I hope that everybody someday goes to opensecrets.org, because that tells you where all the corrupt politicians are, how much money they're making off of industries, companies. Again, opensecrets.org. And somebody sent this and this is the election cycle for 2020, not 24. And I think this is pretty accurate. Open Secrets doesn't mess around. They're pretty accurate. They have pretty good. So lo and behold, Genocide Joe at $4 million just for the election cycle in 2020 by lobbyists. So when you go, why is Israel such a nutcase country and terrorists? Well, this guy approves everything. And then look who they gave $1 million to, just to be on the safe side. Because this nutcase got elected. $1 million. Lindsey Graham, he got a big mouth. This guy, our Black Lives Matter guy, I think he's from Atlanta,
Raphael
Georgia.
Warren, yeah.
Good God-fearing guy, getting money from terrorists. Okay, next one I think is the bottom
Oops,
20.
I'm sorry.
So that's my anti for you Biden lovers. Sorry, I broke heart, and I'm breaking Trump lovers' hearts. But I wanted to break your hearts about Biden too. And Mark Kelly, that guy should know better. It's the astronaut.
Yeah,
Okay, next one. That's it to Biden as far as in Israel. Okay, we're back to prices. Anybody ever heard of the consumer price index? Everybody
Yes.
knows that it's kind of in a good basket of goods. Okay. This is going off of
use the mic. From 1970 to about 2014.
No, 1982. Wait, hold on. Oh, this is what they base. You know how they put it in, similar dollars. So for
Yeah.
comparison, so it's not in inflate. It's not adjusted for inflation. What is adjusted for inflation? Kind of reliable sources. I found out the Federal Reserve of St. Louis is in charge of a lot of our data, and which is good. It's out of Washington, D.C. and New York, where a lot of the fake stuff comes from. But the Federal Reserve, so they compile a lot of this data on economics. All right, so it's like gone up and up and up, and then here's after COVID, the price increases of the CPI. Okay, next.
What year is that?
Well, that went, go back. What year to what?
2024.
Yeah, that's pretty current. So yeah, the prices always go up, gang. That's not news, right? Everybody notices that, except for Dollar Tree. They were pretty stable. Yeah, this is probably 24. These are probably quarters.
It is.
Okay. Consumer price. Okay. Tax cuts, which all right. So when it causes huge, this is you people and me, the bottom 20%. Well, maybe not all. Yeah. Anyway, they get a little trickle down stuff happening. Not much. But basically, when you print money, digitize money, as Russ says, give money to the super rich, steal taxpayer dollars, just to give the super rich, they get super more wealthier.
Sorry, Mike, I just gotta let somebody in.
How many people are in?
No, there's somebody just wants to log in. God damn it. Give me a minute, Mike.
Charlie, can you hear me now?
He can still hear you. Okay, go ahead,
Just a
Mike.
couple more slides and we'll be done, and you can. Okay, I think we're done with this one. Congressional Budget Office. Should be, honest data. Okay. Okay, let's talk about oil and gasoline. It's a lot of you folks' big expenses. All righty. 1977 to pretty close to the last year. Okay, so here's how prices, and this should be pretty accurate, Bureau of Labor Statistics. This is probably some oil war. This is probably some of the, what oil war was this? And this is the price per gallon of gas. I don't know if it's adjusted for
It
inflation.
is
Okay, so gasoline, I guess, went above $4 a gallon in the 80s.
equivalent to $4 a gallon.
Equivalent, yeah, right. And then it came down to around 2 when America was great again. From 86 to about the oil wars here with Bush. And then it all went up. Oil wars affect prices of oil, as if you didn't know. And it really spiked up. And then this was what can everybody tell me what 2009 was?
The Great Recession.
The Wall Street crash, right?
Yep.
Housing. They call it something nicer nowadays, but I call it a crash, an economic crash. Well, that's where Obama printed $10 trillion. So, yeah, bailout of the super rich. And anyway, so it went way down.
Under Obama, it went down for a while.
I don't know if I can explain that. Gas being, why is that gas? Because it was a crash. So demand, everybody's freaking out. They're like, Obama, print money. And he printed money. Then the prices went up because there was more money supply and more inflation. So it went up here. And it came down because the economy was good because we had all that debt printed, trillions of dollars. And then this is Trump. Trump was, he was around $3 a gallon. No great shakes from Trump from gasoline prices. And then again, here's our crash, COVID crash, where demand goes down. Here's the prices. This is a pretty nice, pretty involved chart. And then here's the inflation starting after COVID, when demand went up. And this should be pretty accurate stuff too. Go ahead, Tim. This is pretty much the same thing. Energy, what's EIA? Energy information. Okay. And then, gas prices have been pretty around 250, 350 for a while. Even at Trump, it's Trump's years. No, that's not Trump's years. That was Obama's.
2016, they started.
Yeah, it was pretty low, around 253 for Trump. Okay, so next one. Basically the same stuff. Once you start seeing a couple different charts and when? Right here? Well, that's the comeback from COVID. There were economic forces from COVID. You don't lose like 30 million. Yeah, no, there's gouging. Oh, it's the oil industry. Yeah, of course.
No, there's not.
No.
They also have to make up for when it went negative.
I guess, yeah, right.
It's a free market.
That's right, but you got to pay the price in the free market. Okay, so next one. I might be getting close to the end here, folks. Oh, the long history of oil. This one, I don't know if you guys need to see it, but
What's the earliest data?
1861, right when the Civil War started.
1861 to
US Civil War drives
2014.
up common prices, tax on competing illuminant raises. What was the competing illuminant? Whale oil?
No, that's when whale oil to oil.
Kerosene oil.
Yeah, kerosene came from oil.
Anyway, that's just a lot of old history, but
Thank Rockefeller.
yeah, they say whales are alive today because of oil.
Because of Rockefeller.
Right. Burn baby, burn, drill baby, drill. So yeah, a lot of these spikes are oil wars, Iran, Iraq war,
Arab oil
embargo, true. Okay, so the Arab Spring, I guess there was some more oil wars there. Anyway, so this is compiled by History of Oil Shocks, U.S. recession. Oh, this is interesting how U.S. recessions. Some of these charts are like you could really look into them quite thoroughly, and you see that these recessions that like you see it is follows big spikes in oil prices. All right, go ahead next. That might be it. Wait, oh, that. I think I had that one before, but anyway, Trump put the country in debt quite a bit. Biden. Okay, go ahead. This is for all 4 years. Gross domestic product is back up to.
Give me a minute, Mike.
Let's continue on. They say that Trump just inherited the economy of Obama.
Give me a minute.
Or the bailouts of Obama. Obama printed all the money. Trump printed a lot, but Obama was all.
Okay, Mike, go ahead.
This is a pretty good. This is pretty accurate stuff. So here's GDP, a little bit of history of that. That's the beginning of Trump. It went up, then the crash, then GDP went up again. Continued on. It's kind of interesting. Okay, go ahead. Here's the St. Louis Fed again.
Yes.
CP, okay, that's a consumer price index is below, and then the Fed, there's something called, there's two ways to control the economy. Fiscal stimulus and monetary. Very good. Those are the two ways. Fiscal would be Obama or Trump printing trillions because it's fiscal money. Monetary is our friend in the Fed named, what's his name? Who's the head of the Fed? Powell. And yeah, anyway, so that's the other way to control the economy. You raise interest rates, all interest rates go up higher, houses, cars, everything goes up when you raise interest rates. So and then purchasing goes down. It affects the economy, but then it cools down inflation too. So I've been told by the books. Anyway, so this one will show CPI in blue, consumer prices, and yeah.
The rate was very low around 2010. The rate was.
Yeah. They've been going, they were,
They recall it wasn't-
All right.
so this is monetary policy where they, they raise rates to cool off the economy, lower inflation. There was big inflation before Reagan, and they lowered the interest rates when Reagan went into office. Yeah, that's Carter.
Reagan was afterwards.
And then Reagan raised interest rates, if you guys remember, because there was high inflation.
Yes.
So this is Reagan's higher interest. I had a house and it was like 17% interest. What the hell? And then, but look what it did to inflation by having these high interest rates. So you got that, guys? I don't want to get real geeky with economics.
And it started under Carter.
Yeah, inflation. So here's Carter. I don't know what probably oil wars.
Started in the
Iran.
Europe oil
Don't you
embargo.
remember what happened in
Iran
79?
never killed anybody. Not Americans in the embassy. So I'm okay with them. But anyway, this is oil.
That counts.
What's that?
People died in the desert trying to rescue them.
Okay. All right. So anyway, so inflation was going up under Carter, right? I think this gray means recessions, but I'm not sure.
No, that's the consumer price in the.
No,
in
the consumer is the blue. So
that
yeah,
was
so interest rates are prices went way up here under Carter. Then Reagan got in and raised all the interest rates, and it did affect the prices. All right, I don't want to get too geeky with this one, but it's a good graph. Oh, so here's what you guys buy: medical care, education, smartphones, dumb phones, legal services. I've been spending money on that. Transportation. I use transit mostly, so that number's going down. Housing, I got a good deal. So look at housing's still a big chunk. Food, beverage. I don't buy any good clothes. Okay, so that's your basket of goods for the consumer price index. Go ahead, Tim. Strippers. Okay, U.S. Economic growth again. I don't know that. Go ahead. I had this one on the unemployment. I had this one again. Oh, this one I didn't have. So GDP goes up under. This one didn't come out real clear. Statista. Anyway, so this is GDP going up and up and up because of the Obama bailouts. I guess here, or this is the oil wars, the Bush-Cheney oil wars. This is the Obama bailouts. And here's the Trump goes into office, the COVID drop. So yeah, Trump might have just inherited a good economy. Got that? Okay, next. Next, we saw this. You know what I think I gave you the wrong.
okay. It's all right.
Okay, that's it. Thank you all. Any questions?
All right. There was no Bush Cheney oil war. The Cheney Rumsfeld oil war.
Okay. All right, now let's
So
get behind,
Thank you with our Congress.
get behind the mic and let's get with questions now. So Mike, in your opinion, was the years, as Trump says, the most horrible that the United States has ever faced, true or not?
You mean the Biden years?
The Biden years, yes.
You know, I gotta hand it to Biden. He got us in the stupid wars, and he had the worst Secretary of State I've ever seen, this Blinky. But he brought. I gotta hand it to Biden because he brought unemployment under control, and he brought him and the Fed guy, and he got inflation down eventually. I don't know, Trump just lies a lot. You know, I don't think it's a good idea to lie all the time with a smiling face, which Trump has.
Okay, who's got an, okay. All right, Loud, please go ahead and ask your question. You,
Karina,
no,
Actually, when it came to inflation, instead of bringing it down, Biden caused the inflation in the first place. His massive spending of money is what causes inflation.
Trump printed twice as much as Biden.
No,
yes,
he didn't.
the statistics prove that Trump printed and increased the debt twice as fast as Biden did. And that's the facts from the charts. Okay,
Inflation was because of
Authorized spending in the future, and not actually spend that money.
okay, now, Karina, go ahead.
But it's
Luckily,
a
Doge
guarantee.
will take
All
care
right,
of that.
Karina, go ahead, Loud, please.
Trump
Were
will
you-
fix it.
No.
All right,
Elon,
quiet in the peanut gallery. Now, Karina, go ahead.
Were you aware that Kamala Harris has been criticized for being too technocratic and showing too many graphs?
I didn't
People
see,
Felt that their economy was really bad for them. She kept showing, look, this chart shows you the economy's good.
well, the fake news in America didn't show that. I didn't see it. I didn't follow it might seem like I followed this election. I could care less. I didn't see any graphics from her, but I only saw the Trump, illegal immigrants, and this really shouldn't say encounters
Okay,
with.
here's a question for you. What if you were unemployed, and looking for a job, and then I showed you a chart and I said, look, Mike, the economy's good. It shows this on the chart. See the chart?
Mhm.
That shows that we're in a good economy and things are well. How would you feel about it?
Well, one thing I understand about statistics and data and graphs is that, when they count your income or your job or your statistics you make, you're counted as much as Elon Musk. So when you average Elon Musk in with like people like me and you, so you got to understand how statistics works, and the super rich that get bailouts a lot, they're figured with us, the great unwashed.
That's why you don't use average,
Median, and mode.
Medium.
that's what intelligence would be.
Okay. Charlie, you
Ernie.
got the next
I
question.
expect some question from you.
Okay, let's Charlie go and then we'll get you, George. All
Yes,
right,
Mike,
Charlie, go ahead.
Mike, I heard you say several times that the statistics published by the United States government were somehow fake or false. In studying librarianship,
No.
I had to study government statistics. I've never heard that said by anyone anywhere. On what basis are you is this anti-government language rhetoric? Is that all it is?
I said all of the Federal Reserve in St. Louis should be trusted. The Bureau of Economics, Bureau Labor Statistics could be trusted, should be, and it's all coming off the internet. So I don't think it's manipulated. A lot of it's redundant, and I've seen it a couple times. I don't think somebody, Stephen Miller got in there and manipulated all my searches.
Besides,
I don't think I trashed the government statistics
I
at
don't
all.
recall him doing that during his presentation either, Charlie.
Thank you, Tim.
He kept saying, showing BBC stuff. You didn't see that? He purposely showed
It
It was
BBC stuff,
BBC.
implying that the government, U.S. government information was invalid.
I
didn't
don't,
see
I didn't
that.
see that, Charlie. I thought,
Where were
I
you?
saw the
In
BBC.
the other room?
No, Charlie, I just think you're mistaken
I
with
think he's a speaker tonight.
with your assertions.
A lot of it was on say a BBC website, but it was data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics or Energy Information Agency. Anyway, no, I somewhat trust the government. There's too many eyeballs looking at these statistics. I don't think somebody would lie about it.
Okay. George, next question. We'll get you next here, sir.
Go ahead,
All right, let me get you on camera, George.
Ernie. I'm gonna miss your show.
Go ahead, George. You got a question.
Do you think that Trump's tariffs are going to adversely affect the economy?
It's pretty true. I've heard economists talk about that. I think it will. Like tariffs usually do affect. What's the things that I think tariffs are going to hurt prices, and I think if you eliminate, like, look at all these hardworking Latino people, if you move them out of the country, Americans don't work very hard. We're not very hard workers, a lot of us, and labor prices are going to go like crazy, and the costs will go up too. I think those are. Trump doesn't consider it. I don't know. It sounds good when you're on a speech, you know, Trump giving a speech, massaging the microphone. I saw that. But I think those are bad economic choices. Now, what the tariffs will do is, I think what he's doing is he doesn't want Chinese electric cars here. He wants us to burn more, Trump wants us to burn more oil. And the Chinese cars will be cheaper than Musk's cars. But I don't see, like, Musk cars, I think sales taper off at like 4 or 5%. Right, Chris? Yeah, he's
Also
kind of.
remember,
So Trump's got a real
prices will
problem.
Go up because the labor market between illegal aliens or even legal aliens and all the crap from
There could be
China
other.
have been depressing
Okay.
your labor, the amount of what people have been paying for 20, 40 years.
True. Wait, what do you think Walmart sells all this Chinese?
The Great Wall
All
of
the-
China, of Walmart.
Everything's made in China. All the plastic crap.
Yes,
All right, go.
and they should, because you're not paying.
I don't think Trump's thought all this through,
You're not
but
paying
it sounds good on some speeches.
Who else has got a question back here?
Ernie,
Yeah, why,
Hang on.
there's an
Ernie.
economist.
I think show that, Trump wasn't as good as he says he was, and Biden wasn't as bad as Trump says he was. Why didn't you get it for the election?
I wasn't gonna change. Well, Harris should have hired me. Harris, I know, I should have put in a call. Hey, Harris, you gotta have some better graphics. But, no, I
Or
figured.
maybe I should say, thank God you
You hired me.
Okay, Jake, you're on the
I'm always
air.
looking for some part-time stuff.
Jake, you're on the air. Unmute and ask a question.
Part of that $1 billion you pissed away.
Jake. Jake, you got your hand up. Let's hear it. Jake? All right, who else has got a question in the audience here?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Jake, we can
Hi.
hear you now.
Can you? Okay, thank you for your talk. What are my questions? So I got two questions. Number one, do you think Donald Trump has a magic wand? He's going to magically change the economy around? And number two, you're talking about the economic crisis in 2008, which helped with the election of Barack Obama, president. I don't think he would have been elected otherwise. It came just a few months before the election. My question here is, if you remember the crisis of 2008, all of a sudden the economy collapsed, but the whole problem started 10 years later when the old Glass-Steagall Act was repealed. My question is, how much does that come into the equation? And do you think that the same kind of conditions that happened in 2008 could come back again?
It's kind of interesting. All these crashes happen right at an election time.
Yeah.
I don't know Glass-Steagall.
Glass-Steagall was the act that let big banks start going back into, there was a line of separation in the Depression.
For commercial versus retail banking.
Yes, exactly. And that was repeated.
No, the
under Trump.
commercial banks, and it separate, what Glass-Steagall did, it separated the commercial banks from the investment banks. Remember, one of the things that happened that led up to 1929 stock market crash is that you had banks investing in all kinds of stocks and bonds and stuff, and they ended up and because of all this deregulation that happened in the 20s, they ended up investing in bad investments. And so when the stock market crashed, a lot of the banks crashed with it. That's why Glass-Steagall was passed in order to separate the commercial banks from the investment banks in order to protect the commercial customers. You get my drift?
We got
I'm not a real big expert. It just seems like retail banking money. If I have $20,000 in a Chase, it seems like it eventually makes it to the commercial, and they're just moving it around. I don't know. I don't know if banking. So who is it that trashes banking? Just moving things around, and it's not really a.
I'm gonna go to George, and then I'm gonna go to Charlie.
It's not really.
Okay.
Elizabeth Warren.
All right,
I think,
George,
Jimmy
go
Buffett.
ahead.
I think Buffett says that.
What,
It's not very productive
Mike,
economics.
Mike,
why do you call Trump supporters Nazis? What do
You didn't answer my first question. My first question: does Trump have a magic wand to magically help the economy?
I think Trump just wings it, and when he'll hear from the people he likes, his loyalists, quote unquote loyalists, Nazi or not. Oh, I don't know.
okay, now.
But he's just going to
George's
wing
question.
it, and I looked at the economics of Trump and the accomplishments, and he gave what $3 or $4 trillion to the super rich, which is trickle down economics by Reagan. But I don't think he, had a lot of, he didn't really invest. He said he was going to change the medical field. Trump said that. He didn't do that. He said he was going to do infrastructure, do anything about that. I got to hand that to Biden. He kept Amtrak alive forever. But, there weren't a lot of accomplishments by Trump, economics or anything. He signed some fancy papers, I guess. I think he's just going to wing it. And I don't think he's a non-intervention, non-government person, but he probably will give trillions away to the super rich again.
Okay, Charlie, you're next. Go ahead. We'll get another.
I don't think I called everybody Nazis, but I think that some people next to Trump are Nazis, possibly.
You call me a Nazi because I support Trump. Last week you did. I don't like that.
I don't like it either. I didn't call you that.
Well, anyway, it's.
You're
All right.
a loyalist.
All right,
You're a
Charlie, go
Trumpaholic.
ahead.
Yeah,
Charlie,
Mike,
go ahead.
Mike, it doesn't appear at any time, in doing your research, did you look up a U.S. government website? You've got stuff you collected, who knows where, from any source available, but I'm singularly amazed that you had no chart, let's say, on immigration from the Department of Immigration and Naturalization. I've got to wonder if any of your slides are valid.
I did a kind of broad brush, immigration's kind of a bigger topic, and economy is a huge topic. And I only have an hour or two here to talk, so I kind of did.
All the slides were sourced, Charlie.
Most of them.
I think I did not see a slide from a U.S. government website.
There were a bunch. I pointed them out
Up there.
when I could see them. There's energy information. See, there's Bureau of Census, Bureau of the Border and Customs,
Fed is a government and you have to.
Fed, the St. Louis Fed. You probably didn't
It's
see
all
it.
secondhand.
No, it wasn't.
Well, Google
I think we got
images.
one speaker tonight, Tim.
Yeah,
I
but
just
I
wanted
also
to
don't
give
like our reporters giving misinformation either.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
secondhand
Let's go-
stuff. That's all we got.
Save it for the rebuttals. We'll be able to let you have your full.
It was the best stuff I could find.
All right, anybody else?
It
Okay,
seemed like
Andy will get you next if you haven't had a question. Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, Mike, in all your travels, you talked about, the economy taking a dive and everything during the COVID shutdown.
Yeah.
You run across any reports that said the shutdown occurred before COVID happened. That they had planned the shutdown to. Supposed to be shut down for.
I didn't see anything like that. It kind of makes sense that they shut it down after, March 2/20, they say everything shut down.
Yes.
And then Biden took over in February of 21.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, Karina, we'll get you next. Go ahead.
I'm a little bit, I don't know the answer to. Who's in charge of immigration? Is it the executive branch or is it Congress or the legislature?
Who is in charge of, I think there's a couple people. Mayorkas, they always wanted to fire him.
They're all out of the executive branch.
Oh, they are?
They're out of the executive branch,
I would
but they
think
have to
it's-
follow Congress's laws.
Or under Department of Justice.
Yes.
Or, and then Harris was the czar. Wasn't she the border czar?
Yep.
Do we have a title for, is that an actual position?
I don't know.
Arena.
The czarina. I want to be
I
a czar.
wanna know who's been the Rasputin.
Rasputin would have been Trump's aide. What's his name from the?
Miller. he's the bad. He's the racist guy.
No, Alex Jones.
Yeah. There's a guy.
Or maybe Tucker Carlson.
So yeah, all these guys. I heard they're gonna put in Hulk Hogan as secretary of something. Trump just likes TV people, I guess. I don't know.
Loyalists.
Personalities.
Well, anyway, any other questions?
Any other ones? Thank you, Arnie.
Okay,
He's
Ernie,
another
let's go
economist.
ahead.
What's your opinion on the event like Trump?
Well, I thought I read somewhere that if you're a felon, you can't run for any office. And I don't know if I think that's a law. And I don't, I think Biden is just too wimpy or too wacko. So Biden, I like the first half of his presidency. He got some things done, but he turned into a nut. He lost it. And then they started calling him Genocide Joe. And I think that's going to be his legacy, actually, unfortunately. But your question was how to prevent another Trump?
Yeah.
Well, Trump is just a huge media star. I guess his folks just love watching his I don't watch television much, a couple of things on TV, but I guess he's just a huge media star for 10 years. And then he's been around the president office for 10 years. And we got another 4 years of him coming up. And then if he becomes dictator, he'll be until he's dead. And people just like, most people, you guys are all pretty good with economics and politics. Most people out there in the hinterland joke six packs, they don't know half of what you guys know on average. Even folks I don't agree with. You guys are pretty intelligent about politics. I mean, you go up to some people, what do you think? Oh, I'm not even gonna vote. Oh, I don't know. I don't like either one. They have no opinion. They just want to watch the football games on the weekend or something. Or the Apprentice. Yeah, I don't like American news at all. I don't trust it much at all. I can't even watch PBS anymore.
What are your favorite news sources, Mike?
I kind of like, for television, it's very iffy. So I kind of liked BBC. BBC had a couple good reporters that were really tough on Israel, but they took them off. A couple really attractive women.
Yeah.
And they were asking tough questions and these Israel people that showed up, the IDF and Netanyahu and all these warmongers, they freaked out. They didn't want to talk to them. So BBC got pressured to take them off the air. And now BBC has a feed from Singapore, some really bad reporter. So if you could kind of trust some of these news sites that have some editors and have some intelligent people, so Reuters or some of the I trust stuff kind of in Europe. Europe, say what you will, but they have a lot of eyeballs on things, and I like eyeballs on things. I like people watching over the media. I like people watching over the government. We only got 500 dudes, creepy white dudes in Washington, D.C., watching over, 5-6 trillion, 8 trillion with the Social Security. And then we got all these lobbyists and all these bad influences, and we only got 500 people watching this, money.
Okay,
And getting back to that with Trump, Ernie, is that Pritzker gave it. Sometimes I'm impressed with Pritzker. He gave a nice speech on. I was watching PBS, I think. Anyway, he spoke for the governors, and he goes, "Well, the governors are going to really put up the ones that don't agree with a lot of this stuff, they're going to put up a fight." And the other thing, Ernie, if you really don't like Trump, I don't mind Trump's goofy crap. I just don't want him to give. Three things. I don't want him giving trillions away to the super rich again. I want him to stop these stupid wars and genocide right now. And I don't want him to be a dictator. I don't have much that I'm requesting of Trump. I have very low expectations. One good thing to prevent another, authoritarian or strongman or populist, we got elections every 2 years. Guess what? If people really don't like what's going on with Trump and Republicans the next 2 years, they're fired. Not Trump, but Republicans.
Usually happens every 50 anyway, party to stop.
Yeah, so they could get a lot of their asses kicked out if they do crazy bad shit stuff.
What about the invasion of the migrants?
I
yeah,
just showed you. It's not that different than it was during Bush and during even Trump had high
I didn't see
immigration.
them come in like that.
Most of those people just want a better life and they're hardworking. I haven't heard of it.
And the murderers and
The rapists and killers and rapists and terror. I haven't heard of
How
any of
many
that.
people have to die?
You know what? Here's a real life question I had on the street the other day in Panda, not this Panda Express, but the other one I go to downtown. 6 cops were sitting there. A couple Latino cops, a couple white cops, a couple black cops. I go, "Hey dudes, if you notice crime from immigrants the last few years, has it gone like batshit crazy like Trump says?" You know what they said? It's no different than anything else we run into, whites or blacks.
They don't report crime. We go to.
So you're saying
Yeah.
cops are criminals too?
No, it goes to the
okay,
top.
Doug, Mr. Binkley, you got a question?
No, I asked cops that actually arrest people and show up at murders and at crimes.
All right,
And they
Doug,
said there's
All right,
really
Mike.
not a whole lot of difference in
Mr.
anything.
Binkley, go ahead, loud, please.
The cops are criminals.
Loud, Mike.
Mike, what do you think of Palestinians that voted for Trump? Because Biden wasn't doing enough against Israel. Well, by extension, they thought Kamala wasn't going to. Because they were guessing.
She didn't say much about it. Well,
Since they voted for Trump or some wacko like RFK instead of protest, what's gonna happen to the Palestinians? They'll be sorry and they'll blame themselves or what?
well, I've heard some things. I mean, I hate to say nice things about Trump. There's a couple things I like about Trump. I heard him say he's very anti-war. So
He just said he was going to, well, he actually told him, Yahoo, just to do whatever he needs to do.
Well, Trump's gotta have some balls and he's gotta like say exactly what he means. And if he's anti-war, you know, it seems like America's a criminal country again. Were we criminals in Vietnam, Russ? War criminals?
I don't think we're killing.
Yes.
Well, no, we're
We're
paying us.
also war criminals in World War II, the firearms we interested.
We were war criminals then.
Okay,
Were we war criminals in Iraq? There were, I isolated things in Iraq. No, I think,
We're not doing it indirectly.
The purpose of war is to kill people and break things.
I don't wanna pay for that.
all right, I think it might be. All right, I think it might be time to move on to rebuttals. Who wants to give a rebuttal here? It'd be, we got a good,
Thank you all.
yeah, we
Even
got
you
about a
people
good
on
hour
Zoom.
or more, so I'm gonna give you guys,
The only way to stop war is.
we got a good hour or more, so I'll give you guys about 5 to 6 minutes each. Charlie, I'll have you go after, Jonathan here. Jonathan, I'll give everybody about 6 minutes. I'll give everybody about 6 minutes. Okay, Jonathan, when you're ready, go ahead.
Thank you, Mike, for a good talk. A recent Pew Research poll shared some of this information on what Americans think about our current state. When asked the question, what do you see as the biggest problem with the United States political system? The Americans who responded to this poll at the pewresearch.org, you can go to it. 31% said the problem are Republicans and Democrats. 15% said greed, followed closely by corruption. 22% said there's too much polarization. 10% said the opposing party. 9% said the media, which I was surprised. I mean, the media is terrible. If you go to other sources of information from other industrialized countries, they think that we're the most uninformed population in the industrialized world. I mean, they're really scared of how much we don't know because of how reliant we are on corporate American media. Please, if you have to watch television shows, mute the sound and read the closed caption without the emotion. Like, just get the substance of what they're telling you. 99% of Americans, if you just get the closed caption, you'll be able to tell when they're lying to us and when they're not. 7% said untrustworthiness and dishonesty. 7% said too much money in politics. 4% said the elections are not as good as they could be. 19% said they don't know. Some of the comments that were made by the people polled were politicians are hiding the truth and fulfilling their own agendas. Politicians don't see their role or responsibility to work for we the people. Politicians are too corrupt and busy filling their pockets. If you look on either side of the aisle, whether it's Nancy Pelosi with her magical omniscience to be better than stock investment people who do this for a living, but she's always the most profitable person just by chance, just a couple of days before there's major moves in the same area where she made investments, or with Trump, if you look on that side of the aisle. Both the political parties are too busy trying to stop the other party, says one person in the poll. Another person says they're wasting their opportunities to solve the problems. Another person says it's almost total lack of credibility and trust. Another person says they're lying about their intentions and not following through with what elected officials said they would do. Another person in the poll said elected officials would rather play political games than serve the needs of their constituents. Another person polled said the same politicians are in public office too long. You know, it shouldn't be a career job. There shouldn't be Joe Bidens, and there shouldn't be Lindsey Graham's. They should get jobs like everybody else does after they're done in public office for 15 or 16 or 7. Why do they have to be there for 50 years? Come on. Elected officials, there's too much money in politics coming from large corporations and special interests. The people have no say in important matters. We have no representation at all. Lawmakers are isolated and could care less what we want. Their end goals are personal and not for the betterment of the voters who elected them. Elected officials are too out of touch with the public. They're too obsessed with money and power, so they don't care about the people. They bend to whoever can donate most of their campaign and don't follow through on campaign promises. Two of the campaign promises that Joe Biden made was that he's going to raise minimum wage to $15 an hour, which he did not, which is very easy to do. And another was public option health care. That's why you lose swing state voters. For all those Democratic people in the DNC who don't know why you lost the most winnable race in the history of this country, follow through with your promises. Damn, this isn't rocket science. There's a huge discontent with the public's priorities and theirs. Greed, 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 one person says. No accountability, and they all think they're rock stars. They're focused on donor money and preventing the other side from making advancements instead of governing in a way that helps us. There's too much ego and not caring enough to listen to us. They're power hungry, they're money hungry, they're lazy, they're liars. They're self-serving, misdirected, and too partisan. They have lost their common sense, love of country, and have no moral core. They do not serve we the people. They serve themselves and special interests and lie to our faces about their priorities. 72% said that the quality of candidates has been bad. 42% of Americans said that none of the candidates represent their views well. 71% of Americans said the recent presidential campaigns have not been informative. 70% of Americans said the recent campaigns have focused on the wrong issues. 72% of Americans said recent presidential campaigns have not featured nominees who were good candidates. 26% of Americans said there were more political parties that would make the country's problems easier to solve.
Okay.
65% of Americans said elections should decide the winner by popular vote, and 65% said we need to change the system so the candidate who receives the most total votes nationwide wins the elections. 3 articles that I suggest you read that expand about this issue is Ultra-Conservative Warhawks Dominate Trump Cabinet by znetwork.org. Progressive Stalwart Dennis Kucinich sees in 2024 vote a rejection of globalist agenda and the Democratic Party warmongering by Jeremy Kuzmarov, and by Chris Hedges, The Politics of Cultural Despair. It's despair that's killing us. It fosters what is called poison solidarity, the intoxication forged from the negative energies of fear, envy, hatred, and a lust for violence. Great talk, Mike. Thank you so much.
Okay, Charlie, you're next. 6 minutes.
All right, I'd like to thank Mike for putting this together. It took you a while to assemble these things. I'll be eclectic as usual, though. Number one, I'm going to give you a little course on statistics. And where do we get statistics? We get them in one place, like from the federal government. We also get it from political campaigns and candidates. That's number 2. Number 3, we get statistics from the media. They create things and post it. There's another area that people don't realize is that you get statistics from private companies, and you also get statistics from industries, such as the railroad industry. The Association of American Railroads Association put out statistics and data and information on their particular industry. Now, the thing to keep in mind is by the way, also, the Department of Commerce, people don't realize there are separate the census of business, which is done after 8 years after the population one. There's also such things as the census of agriculture. So you have many other government sources. There's two things to keep in mind anytime you get away from a government statistic, which is all what we saw tonight. Is that one? It's a generation away. If it's a generation away, it admits itself to manipulation. And number two, you're opening it up to charting. And I do this myself. I take Department of Transportation statistics and I rechart them to suit my aims or goals. I've testified before many public hearings, and so I have to look through charts and statistics for many, many hours. I've been doing this for decades now. So I get a little bit of a background in it. Another source of government statistics people aren't aware of is the annual appropriation report that each agency of the government has to do before the House to get an annual appropriation. And they put together data and statistics on their operations. Often these are published as books, printed books. There's valuable information such as here. If you wanted information on immigration, go to the annual report of the Department of Immigration and you will get an assessment, more data than you can ever need about immigration can be found in one of those sometimes. That's what I mean, the appropriation books. The one statistics you must avoid and has never been shown to be accurate are those on crime. Crime statistics, without going into detail, the way they're reported, underreported, there's a natural thing. Also, by the way, Mike, the very first chart you showed, and I am the one who has put that out, is the question of validity, the way it is. But they stretch things a little bit. That's what I mean. You have to be, you used your very first source you used. I said, this guy isn't using a valid statistic chart. But anyhow, that's basically it. Now, the other thing I heard tonight, there's two other things, and I'm going to pick on Jonathan. In the world of work, it's called years of credible service. And seniority is another term for it. And being an elected official is that job. And you get somebody out of that job, I don't care who they are, they're a working person for just cause. And just cause is bad performance or conduct. So if a political official does not perform or breaks some violation of conduct, yes, so they should be gotten rid of. But simply doing the job is not justification for termination. I don't know where your assertion doesn't make any sense. If you do something improper, then you lose your job. And there's no guarantee that the person, amazingly in politics, there's no guarantee in this world you're presenting that the person replacing the senior executive would be any better. They might be a total nincompoop. So you take someone who's doing the job credibly for years and years and years, get rid of them and replace them with a loony. This is what you're proposing. Now, the other thing is, you gave us all sorts of statistics. That's what I mean. Really got to look at statistics. You gave us all kinds of statistics that were from the general population. I can tell you, I'm very much familiar with the public opinion of the U.S. government and the federal, state, and local levels of government. The fact of the matter is, if you want valid opinion of people, you've got the only opinion that's been shown to have any value are the people who vote, about 25%. So absolutely nothing that Jonathan said has any validity. You ask some jamoke what they think of government, they don't even know what government is. They've never voted. They don't know who's running for office, and yet you place value in their opinion. Well, thank you, boy. That's a lot of that's worthless. I'm sorry. You've got to control the population of whose opinion you're soliciting. And that means that who did you ask? Who did you talk to? And does their opinion have any validity to stand behind it? Anyhow, it was a good talk. I think, yeah, we learned a lot about this in the final analysis. I'm not precisely certain I've heard it, and I've never studied economics at a secondary level, but I've heard that the President of the United States conceivably can do absolutely nothing regarding the economy. Might be a topic for another evening at the College of Complexes. I'm not well versed enough to say yea or nay regarding that, but it's something that somehow exists on its own. It's subject to outside factors, of course, but the fact that the President of the United States doesn't exercise absolute control over the economy, or what degree of control does he or she exercise, I think is open to question. Anyhow, thanks, Mike. Looking forward to hearing another one from you. Thank you.
All right, George, you're next. Go ahead. 6 minutes.
Wealthy elite journalists, liberal Democrats, politicians.
Speak into the mic if you can. Is it on? Hang on, let me check. It should be.
Doesn't sound like it's on. Here.
Wealthy elite journalists, liberal Democrats, politicians, and other DC insiders have spent the past weeks mocking American citizens' legitimate grievances about mocking American citizens' legitimate grievances about federal immigration policies that have reshaped this country for the worse. They show disdain for working class Americans who every day face this illegal immigrant onslaught. Take Springfield, Ohio, one of the towns that figures prominently. Springfield's history mirrors much of the rest of the country. Now the median income is stuck at around $25,000 a year, some 12,000 less than the national average, while the poverty rate remains of over 20%. Beginning in 2020, as part of the federal temporary protected status program, 20,000 poor, uneducated immigrants from Haiti were dumped on this city, Springfield, Ohio. The city is in debt and out of resources, trying to care for and make and house all these Haitian immigrants. What happens when the total population of a small city like Springfield is increased by 1/3 by foreign immigrants hailing from a vastly different third world nation? What does this do culturally to a once thriving blue collar American citizen? This town has been ravaged by 20,000 migrants coming in. Healthcare costs are up, housing costs are up, communicable diseases have skyrocketed. This is what Kamala Harris' border policies have done. Sanctuary City, Chicago has taken in 41,000 migrants. This is costing Chicago over $600 million a year. Chicago will be $1 billion in the red for the fiscal year 2025 budget. Mayor Johnson says he's going to raise property taxes by 300 million. That was turned down by the city council, but he still wants to do it. He wants taxpayers to pay for the illegals' housing, healthcare, and education. This is socialism. Socialism never works. Progressives want the U.S. to take in the poverty stricken of the world. Just look, there's like 150 countries coming in through that border. I don't know. Oh, they hate America, not the people coming in, but the progressives. U.S. That's why Trump said the power is within our country. The enemy is within. Yes, America needs more workers, but we can get them through legal immigration. Back when Obama ran for president, he said he wanted to fundamentally change this country. What did he mean by that? Is that's what he means? He wants to make this a socialist country. He's bringing these people in. 20,000, there's a caravan, but they turned around. Trump turned them around. But some of them are still, when they get to the border, he's going to kick them back to Venezuela, wherever. And Obama's not through yet. He's behind the Biden. People don't know that. I know that for sure. And this last election was an election for common sense. Common sense won this last election. And I'm really looking forward to this because we control the presidency, the Senate, and the House. We can pass what needs to be done.
I'm with this guy.
Okay, Ernie, go ahead. Yes, Ernie, go ahead.
Yeah. Mike, good talk. Lots of good research. Appreciate it. It's well put together. The problem is I couldn't see the chart back there. I would say if anybody does talks with a PowerPoint, I know this is an expense. They should probably print up copies of the PowerPoint to give out because. But your analysis.
You just turned off the microphone.
I did. What do I do?
Slide the switch up. Yeah, slide it up.
Is it on now?
Yes.
There we go. Thank you. Sorry about that, guys. Anyway, I did enjoy the talk. I will say this. I think a lot of people in this room who are more informed and more intelligent, better educated than the average population struggled a little bit to follow it and to see the meaning. Most voters would have no clue whatsoever. People don't, they rely on summaries from people they trust, whether it be newsmen or friends or newspapers or whatever, to give them a summary of everything you showed us. And then that's what they vote on. If they vote on logical issues to begin with, then I think most people don't. Elections are primarily emotional. The typical attitude is, well, it's not going so well, so let's give the other guys a chance. I've heard a lot of people say that, and how that makes sense, I don't know. I would have to say that the big problem with Trump is that he has normalized cheating, lying, and general bad ethics and Machiavellian tactics to a much worse level than it's ever been. Other presidents and other leaders have lied and they've manipulated and they pulled games, but nothing like Trump. When the president of the United States is a known cheat, a known liar, a convicted felon, what does that say to everybody else about who our country is or what our country is? And this, to me, both here amongst us, we have to have a lower opinion of our government, and the people around the world have a lower opinion of the United States because of a thing like this. I think that's a problem. I'd say the big danger here is we hope that he doesn't try and pull a Putin or a Xi. Both of those guys managed to get the constitutions in their countries changed so that they essentially have a lifetime job as president. We're thinking, okay, well, we can last for another 4 years with this guy. We probably can, but what if he's successful in changing the constitution, if he tries or is successful? I don't think he will get away with it here. I think we're much too feisty as a people, but we want to keep our eyes open for that. Oh, let's see here. Now, who should we blame on this problem? My attitude, and I've started having this attitude many, many years ago, is there's some basic flaws in our system. Our founding fathers are who we've got to blame. They gave us a system that worked pretty well for about 200 years, something like that, with the one big wart of the Civil War. The system worked pretty well. We survived and got some pretty good leaders over those years. But now, eventually, sooner or later, when you have a system with the flaws in it that ours has, sooner or later, you're going to get cases like Trump or worse. And I think we need to make extensive changes into our political system. Money out of politics, eliminating the electoral college, ranked choice voting, and qualifying candidates according to some formal way. We do qualify them. You got to be at least what, 25 to be a congressman or a senator, and you got to be what, 30 or 35 to be a president. 35. That's it. 35, 35. Okay, that's it, and you have to be an American citizen. Well, American citizen makes sense. That's not enough qualifications. There should be more to it. And one of them should be, if it isn't already, and some of us suspect that it is, that there are laws against felons serving. Now, I don't know that much about the specific laws, but we should certainly have certain laws of that sort to keep certain people out. And we should also qualify voters. There are a lot of people who vote who have, and Charlie said that in one of his talks recently, that there are a lot of people who just are voting that know nothing about it. He can comment on that some more if he wants to. As far as the job the Democrats did, I really think that the Democrats really screwed up pretty badly. And I mean, somebody said it tonight, I don't know if it was Mike or somebody else, that what should have been one of the most winnable elections ever, they lost. I think one of them was handling of the pandemic. This business of passing out checks. I know I got over $3,000 in checks for no reason. I mean, the pandemic didn't affect me. I mean, I got COVID once or twice and had to stay in, but it did not affect me economically. Most of the people who got checks were not affected economically by the pandemic. Now, there are at least a few people in this room, and I won't embarrass any of the others, who got these checks, who didn't need them, probably shouldn't have gotten them. There's at least one person in this room who's now looking at her cell phone who did get the checks and deserved them, because this person worked in the food industry for restaurants, and when restaurants went down, her job went down, okay? And again, if she wants to mention her name, she can, but I won't. And there were certainly lots of people, the people who work in this restaurant and in the other restaurants, they deserved some help because they were really hit by the pandemic. But to be passing out money like mad, the city governments are just now starting to run out of their pandemic money. So maybe they're using it for good things, but that's not a way it should have been handled, in my opinion. The other thing is, despite the statistics that Mike is showing us on the borders, I do think that during the Biden administration, there was an attitude of let's go north because we can do it and we can get away with it, and we'll go in. And one statistic I heard, the international law says that if somebody comes because they are in danger in their own country, we are to accept them. Any country is to accept them. But when all is said and done, of the people that did get processed and vetted, only about 18% of them fit into that category. Most of them just thought they could get a better life up here. It's fine. I understand why they want to come, but then we have to limit that very greatly, and we did. So there are lots of people, and they'll be good people. My parents were immigrants, so a lot of us here are offspring of immigrants. Okay, but it has to be very. Yeah, I will. Okay, when I'm done. And the other thing, big mistake he made was the Afghan withdrawal. That may not have been his, and I'm not sure how much these affected him in losing. I think I think that it's just that we now have a media sales campaign instead of a campaign on issues, and we have to change it. Thank you all.
All right, Jake, go ahead. You're up. Jake, you got your hand up. Then we're going to go to Andy. Jake, you got your hand up.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Thank you
Yes.
for your talk. Thank you for your talk. I'm opposed to term limits I support term limits for the presidency. Otherwise, we'd have a czar. But I'm opposed to term limits for legislators. If a congressman or a senator is popular in their district or their state, they should be reelected for as many times as people want to reelect them. Conversely, if someone is doing a bad job, it shouldn't take term limits to get them voted out of office. And I think if we had term limits for legislators, it would just make the executive branch that much stronger. I think we don't need term limits for legislators because you need people with experience in the legislature, and otherwise, if you have term limits, you'd have constant turnover. It'd be very chaotic. What else am I thinking here? Yeah, Trump was elected largely because of the economy. As if Trump has a magic wand, he'll magically turn the economy around. I don't believe that, and I don't believe that he's going to make peace in the Middle East or in Ukraine. I favor the Ukrainians there. I think Putin was wrong for invading them. What else? We did hear, about the bureaucracy. We heard the same message from Reagan. Remember, when Reagan came in, he said the government is not part of the problem. The government is the problem. He promised to cut down on federal bureaucracy. Ironically, after 8 years of Reaganism, the federal bureaucracy doubled. So I don't know what Trump is talking about. If he's going to say he's going to cut down on bureaucracy, it may backfire on him. And I'm not sure those economic plans are going to turn the economy around. There's speculation among economists that his tariffs against China and so forth may just make it worse. Well, we'll see what happens. As soon as a lot of people who would have voted for the Democrats voted for Trump because of the economy. I suspect that as soon as the economy starts going bad, the honeymoon will be over, and a lot of those people will give up on Trump and start voting again for the Democrats. We'll see what happens. Yeah, the Democrats miscalculated big time. They were relying on the polls. Again, the polls were wrong, like they were in 2016. What the Democrats need to do is do a better job of doing internal polling for themselves, and that way they'll have a better idea of where they're at and where they need to concentrate on. What else? What else am I saying here? Yeah, I think the system needs to be changed. I don't think you can get rid of the Electoral College that easily. It would take a constitutional amendment, and that would be very difficult to pull off. Apparently, there have been several attempts to eliminate the Electoral College, which have not gone anywhere. But yeah, we should never have allowed Donald Trump to get on the ballot because he's a convicted felon, and that sets a very bad precedent. I think it means that he can do whatever he wants and get away with it. We'll see how much he gets away with now. During the height of Watergate, if you remember, during the height of Watergate, when Nixon could see the cards were going against him, he just resigned in order to avoid him being impeached. That's not the case with Trump. Trump refuses to admit that he made a mistake. What else? I'm writing a new musical. It's called Springtime for Donald. Kind of like the producers. It's bad Mel Brooks, except I better write it quickly, because if I wait until after January 20th, the show will be banned and I could be arrested for high treason for daring to do it.
Okay.
Come. I'll let you know. Come visit me in prison.
All right, Andy, go ahead. 6 minutes. You're up, Andy.
Okay, first of all, we had a spectacle, last, what is it, Tuesday of a week ago? The media is wrong on two things. We've been gaslit for 40 years. For those of you that aren't aware, Tom Hartman has been reporting every year talking about, elections and stuff. No Republican, including Trump, has ever gotten control of the White House in an honest election without treason, dirty tricks, stealing votes and everything else. Massive crimes against the country. We were told we had an election last week. That was not an election. That was an installation of Donald Trump, the way George W. Bush was installed by the Supreme Court after he lost the vote. I have copies. Is everybody here familiar with Ralph Nader? Anybody
Yes.
doesn't know who Ralph
Yes.
Nader is? How many people know who Greg Palast is? Is that name familiar?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you familiar with what he's been talking about with the new vigilante program that started in Georgia
Yes.
and is spread? There's 40,000 vigilantes that spread out to all the, well, 33 states, but especially the swing states. And they use computer programs to scrub 15 million Democrats off the polls. We were told by the media, oh, a whole bunch of Democrats just stayed home. No, that's a crock of shit. They were prevented from having their ballots counted or prevented from even voting. They closed 75% of the voting machines in places in blue cities in the South. And in other cities, they closed down drop boxes, all kinds of dirty tricks to massively suppress what they knew was going to be a landslide turnout to kick Trump's ass out of office. So this is how you steal an election. That was the first psychological rape of America. Then day after day after day, we're being psychologically raped again by the media saying, oh, Americans voted for Trump. They must be dissatisfied with the Democratic, probably what the programs were, what the Harris Waltz over the Democratic side, progressives, 98% of Republicans want those programs until you tell them, well, that's proposed by a Democrat. Oh, no, I can't have that. I got to vote for Trump. What we saw is a triumph of the media who were able to take what Phil Rockström wrote in 2017. He said, our presidential suit has been filled by a bloated, bloviating, two-legged, 300-pound toxic waste dump in the shape of an ugly human, motivated by a psychopathic brain on top. Trump is number one in two categories. Trump's totally number one. If you list the number of categories, qualifications you have to do the job of the president, Trump has none of that. Zero. He's number one in all of history. And if you list the kind of things, a criminal background or misstep or being a psychopathic liar for one, just one, Trump has more characteristics that should have got him voted out of office by the Congress that took an oath. What happened to the oath of the Senate and Congress to protect the presidency against the founding fathers said nobody with criminal tendencies should ever get close to the White House because Congress has checks and balances. That's in the Constitution. They're supposed to vote these assholes out. Well, you can't call Trump an asshole. That's degrading normal assholes. Trump is way beyond that. Little humor there, perhaps, but what we have. 4 more years of Trump. Okay, addressed a couple of things really quick. What happened with refugees dumped in Ohio and some of these other states, they were bused or flown in or dumped there sometimes in the middle of the night by Republican governors for the express purpose of creating chaos and creating the image that our country is being overrun by migrants. And it's not. It's totally, and this thing about Haitians eating pets and everything, totally false. Somebody else has been reporting, a friend of mine says, oh, well, the southern states, the Democrats are, there's kitty litter boxes in, bathrooms in school now, because some kids identify with cats. I mean, it's the bullshit that's come out with the mainstream media. We've been buried, as my brother said, we're buried in a fire hose of bullshit 24/7 by the major media. Somebody has asked, what sources of media can you count on? Well, I carry cards. I carry cards with a series of websites. What?
Viewer supported as opposed to.
Viewer supported with no advertising. So there's
It's hard to find, but it's.
two of the best that have brilliant writers from a wide range of. Talk about it. Greg Palast website is on here if you want to know about voter suppression. The Want to Know info site has all kinds of information on a variety of things. The Want to Know info site, the second from the lower right, upper right-hand corner, is the most credible website that I know of. I haven't found anything that is not political propaganda left and right. It's just reality, what's happening. Rocky Mountain Institute on the left side, Rocky Mountain Institute talks about the world revolution getting off fossil fuel. It's in this book also, Petroleum 238, about the radiation particles that are coming up from fracking and oil everywhere. They've covered that up for 100 years. So to summarize, what 4 more years of Trump means, that's big money and big media and motion. What they're going to give us.
I got it.
You've got the Trump administration is set to unleash 3 of the biggest killing machines on the planet. One of them is the military-industrial complex of America. That's the largest killing machine for people. The fossil fuel industry, the multi-trillion-dollar fossil fuel industry, is the largest planet-killing machine that any country owns. All we have to do is burn way more fossil fuel for 4 years, and it leads to, well, I'll get to that in a minute. The third big killing machine is with drugs that kill people, maim people, that aren't tested properly. Europe doesn't put up with that shit, but they allow this stuff to be marketed in America. Some of you may remember a drug called Vioxx that was on the market for a short amount of time, killed a bunch of people, and they had to withdraw. So what we're looking at, the kids that I coach, 6th, 7th graders in Science Olympiad, those kids are 12 years old now. By the time they get to be 50, 60 years old, they're going to be looking at a planet. There's 19 feet of sea level ice in the sea level rise frozen in Greenland, and it's melting. 19 feet there, just in Greenland. There's 190 feet of sea level rise frozen in the ice and the glaciers at the South Pole. That's melting. These kids are looking at a planet where all the coastal cities are under 150 feet of water halfway through this century. That's how fast the ice is melting, and the media in America totally blacks it out. I'd like to give a talk on that, but Charlie won't let me speak here anymore because I talk about reality rather than things that are acceptable to Charles Paddock. So I'm looking for other venues around the city.
Personal attack.
As many as I
Personal attack.
See what I mean?
Okay.
You talk about truth on certain subjects and Charlie goes nuts. So unless that changes, I won't.
Hey, follow the rules, pal. That's
No interruption, that's another rule.
Yeah, all right.
So that pretty much ends
Okay.
my talk. And anybody that wants information from me, give me a call. I can send. I've got copies of this if anybody wants to see the write-up for Greg Palast on the stolen election. So raise your hands, I'll give you a copy. Otherwise,
Okay, Mike, your closing remarks? Anybody else have a rebuttal yet? Okay, Jake? No, I didn't mean to. Jake, you got a short rebuttal? Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, Jake, make it quick. You already spoke
Hi.
once.
No, I got a question for Andy, if I may. My question is, if all this voter suppression was going on, then how can you prove that was enough to make the difference in this election.
Okay, Andy, go ahead.
It's investigative reporting and statistical analysis. And you look at how many spoiled ballots there were in certain states. You have to log on to Greg Palast's site. You can't just ask an open question like that.
Well, where is he getting? Where is he getting? Wait a minute. Where is? I've heard Greg Palast. I've heard about Greg Palast's film. Where is he getting his information?
The exit polls.
The exit polls, entrance polls, all kinds of things. He's the Ralph Nader of vote counting and voter suppression. The man has unimpeachable credentials. Log on to his site and start to read and watch the movie. If you don't have time to read, or just you can listen.
I heard most of it. Didn't watch it, but I heard most of the movie.
Which movie was that?
The one that you were talking about, Vigilante. Vigilante voters, or whatever it's called.
Vigilante.
Right.
It's about the computer, how to scrub the polls just by turning in names that get challenged. So
right. Okay, but that was all in Georgia. Is that national?
No, that's national.
That was all in Georgia.
That's national. It went national. He interviewed somebody in Georgia, but since Georgia, they had 88 vigilantes in Georgia. Well, True the Vote assembled a group of 40,000 vigilantes that fan out over 33 states. That's how they suppress democratic vote.
Okay, fine.
Read about it, Jake.
Okay, I just want to counter. In the next 4 years, as the economy collapses like it did in 2008, it'll affect middle class voters, and then they can't suppress everybody's vote.
Yeah, they don't have to suppress everybody's vote, Jake. They just have to suppress enough to make it look like the Republican criminal won. That's all. You don't have to suppress.
No. You're not hearing what I'm saying. In 2008, when the economy collapsed, it affected middle class homeowners. And that's why Obama won.
Okay, Jake, that's we've gone off on this thing.
Okay.
Anybody else have a rebuttal?
One final thing. In 2008, these computerized programs of cross-check and vigilante, they did not exist yet. They have come about since 2012, 2014. So
okay, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in 2028.
Andy, why do you recommend that New York Patriots for 9/11 as a website?
I don't recommend Patriots 11.
It's on your list.
Let me jump in and answer.
I recommend the architects and engineers who produced the case that went to the district attorney's office in Southern District of New York, and it's waiting on a grand jury to file the case and start to investigate.
Okay.
Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah, go ahead and jump in.
Jump right in.
All right, you said something about Reagan. You know, Reagan voted for Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the president that the New Deal was passed under, 4 times. So they are very good at charming you through the television, especially in the era of Reagan and Trump. Reagan is a movie B actor, mainstay. Trump is a TV show, professional, head and shoulders, capitalizer off of this medium that people are more reliant on after the Telecommunications Act of 1996. Thanks a lot, Newt Gingrich and Bill Clinton. The problem is, and Mike has talked about this in earlier talks, if you don't have media that talks about labor issues that are relevant to working class peoples, you get issue-free campaigns, and what you get is basically, who do I want to see on the TV for the next 4 years and hear their voice? That's not democracy. And I just want to say, if there's 2 people in the history of this country, I wish I could go back in a time machine and give them $1 billion to do anything else in civics. It's Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump. Another thing I want to say is that if you think about 9/11 as a crime scene, not as a political event, not as a emotional event, just as a crime scene, if you were standing at a crime scene and 2 cars crashed into 2 houses, and those two houses fell down, even though they were built to withstand car crashes. And then there was a third house in their proximity. It didn't get hit by nothing, and it just fell down. You might be under the impression that that crime scene was a place where some very powerful, wealthy people had a lot to do with that crime. I'm not a 9/11 pushing conspiracy on people saying, I'm just saying, looking at it as a crime scene, the government did not tell us everything that we needed to know about a crime scene happening, because
Burning debris
power
fell on the
always
roof.
going to make money and power off of huge reset events like that, like the JFK assassination, like the Martin Luther King Jr. assassination, like Pearl Harbor attack, in order to say the new normal is now this. That's not political. That's just saying.
In 9/11, we were attacked. There was no grand conspiracy. We were attacked.
Terrible things for working class
Okay.
people.
All right, at this point, I'm going to let Mike make his final remarks. And Jake, I know you've got more to say, but at this
Not
point, you've
one
had
person has been charged with a crime of 9/11. Not one
okay,
U.S. citizen. 25 years.
okay.
Started a bunch of oil wars.
All right, Mike, your final remarks and adjourn us when you're done.
All right, thanks. Glad I had a nice talk here, and that wraps it up, I guess, unless Trump goes to jail before January 20th. But I guess he'll still be a felon, but he won't go to jail. Yeah, they can't take that state charge away from him for corruption. So, you know, like I say, it's the three things that I hope he does: stops those genocides right away, war, and
Don't be a totalitarian.
yeah, dictator, strongman. I hope he plays a lot of golf. Get his fans on the golf carts. Stay away from the creepy people like Miller. Hit it. And you know, just don't give trillions to rich people. They don't need it, and it just increases our debts. So I'm sorry that you guys didn't see the screen really well.
Some of it was in the back. It got a
Could
little
you
blurry.
see it okay, Jonathan? Yeah.
Yeah, we saw the data.
You guys need new glasses back there.
Oh, Mike,
You could see the
need
line
larger
to
fonts.
read what it was about.
it does, okay. Well, Mike, next time I can print up some of that stuff if you want.
That's all right. I thought it looked pretty good here.
That was a good talk.
You know, those were about the best things I had available. I doing searches, and I don't have time to go dig through government data. And you know, it seemed pretty accurate. It was in agreement with other printouts I had, in agreement with other websites, and of course, I got to have it in the format of PowerPoint. And you know, it's not going to be perfect, but I think I explained inflation and economics okay. I didn't want to get too geeky, and I know that stuff pretty well. And then the immigration, I think it's the immigration is such a small, you know, $5 trillion in government spending. We're a $20 trillion economy. I mean, the immigration is such a small part of the picture. I mean, we got a lot of other things that we got to pay for and worry about. I mean, immigrants, those Haitian immigrants, I saw interviews where they've starting businesses, retail. There's a lot of industrious people that came from Haiti, and all these folks. Look at how hard these Latino folks here. Look at how hard they work. They're very
Always
good.
have been. Always, that's the history of America.
My ex is Venezuelan, and she's the hardest working person in all of our extended family. She's always working. Puts us to shame. So I think it's pretty racist on his part, Trump, and I think he gets that racist stuff from Miller. He's the minister of the czar of hate and immigration, and You know, it sounds like it's a pretty big operation, as far as the wall and immigration and the border control, border czars. So you know, I think they have a decent handle on it, but they're gonna get like influxes, depending on, you know, what's going on at the times. And, hopefully we don't have any more oil wars. And, what else did I want to say? Yeah, I mean, Trump won. He didn't win. You know, Hillary and Harris lost by like 3 million or something. They were very similar in votes. And then Trump lost to Biden by 8 million. But it's pretty amazing how close these elections get. I don't understand that, but they're pretty, you know, except for Obama won by a bunch a few times. And then Bush Gore, look at how close that was. You know, Hillary only lost by 3 electoral votes,
Right.
I think, right?
She could have showed up in Detroit and Milwaukee.
Exactly. I remember that. She was being lazy and hanging out, doing decorations for the big party.
Same thing with Harris. She could have said, I'm going to end this crazy war in Ukraine.
Yeah.
I'm going to end this crazy
Right.
war anywhere else. People
She said something like that. And
loved her.
she acted like a tough
Couldn't
bitch.
do it because the
No.
military-industrial complex is treating us like a talent.
Right. If Harris does some tough she had no balls. Biden has no balls. Biden has no brains. And yeah, if she would have came out instead of hanging out with
People would've loved
Beyonce
her.
and Michelle and Oprah,
Yeah.
like all these rich elites.
People would have said, thank God a woman's president because she understands you don't kill innocent civilians. That's a winnable race.
And she only lost by like 2 or 3%. All the 3 Wall states. She didn't lose by a lot.
Years to say something. She
What?
had 3.5 years to say something.
Well, she was hedging. She's like, well, I'm going to have a different approach than Genocide Joe. And then she's like, then she didn't talk about it. And, you know, then she had a great convention and she picked the right guy, but she hid him away because he was dorky. But I liked him because he was dorky.
You know,
The walls.
That's gonna
No,
last.
he picked the wrong one.
That's going to last for generations. People are going to remember during the genocide, that wasn't a red line for these people who.
Did you see how much money Biden from pro-Israel terrorist groups?
I mean,
Okay.
you can't argue with that. We lost our way in DC.
We're a criminal country again. I'm sorry, Russ. We were criminals in Vietnam. We were criminals in Iraq.
Korea,
No, wait.
Afghanistan.
What? We were criminals there?
The only place they were not to throw us out of the line was on both sides of the fight.
It's always about oil wars.
Okay, Mike. All right, wrap us up, Mike.
What are they doing? It's our oil and their they belongs to
Okay, Mike, adjourn
drill,
us.
baby, drill.
Adjourn us, Mike.
Like liquid gold.
Crack, baby, crack.
Okay.
Mike Lehman.
Mike, the College of Complexes is officially adjourned.